Shalom to the Chevra from Steen Court, from Hashkama. So nice to be able to share a couple of thoughts before Rosh Hashanah. I was giving a shiur this week at Heaton Park on the importance of Shofar and the meanings of Shofar. It raises our tefillot to Hashem. It's part of a central aspect of the day. And someone stopped me and said, Rabbi, if that is the case, how come when it comes to Shabbat like this year, we don't blow the Shofar? Why did Chazal push off shofar for Shabbat? It's an obvious question, something that's obviously asked, and I answered him with the Gemara, Sheval Taseh, and the usual points. But as I was going through my learning this week, I came across a beautiful Meshech Chochmah, which casts an entirely different light on this. On the pasuk that mentions Zikaron Tru'ah, he says as follows, and I actually think it has a meaning for us also during COVID as well. And he says as follows, that the shofar is so important, and without it, our tefillot really can't pierce shamayim in the same way, and we aren't able to confuse the Satan without the shofar, that it really is a question as to why we don't do it on Shabbat, if it's so important, and perhaps there's even an element of sakana. And he says, though, as follows, this is the reason. That Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are like lovers. And just like people who are deeply in love and deeply care about each other, what's important for me is what is going on with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what's important for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is what is going on with us. In the famous story of Rav Aryeh Levine, he goes to the doctor with his wife whose foot was hurting, and he says to the doctor, our foot is hurting. So too with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is concerned about our honor, and we're concerned about His honor. One of the reasons He gives is that when Hashem commands us to fight against Midian in the Torah, He says to revenge Am Yisrael. But when Moshe gives the mitzvah, the command to Am Yisrael to fight, he says to avenge Hashem. We're both concerned about the other's honor. We're both concerned about the other in a very deep way. So too when it comes to shofar on Shabbat. The shofar is so important to us. Without it, our tefillot don't go up in the same way. Without it, it is actually highly problematic. And he says, though, that Am Yisrael makes a decision via the Chachamim to say we're not going to blow the shofar for the honor of Hashem, so that Hashem's name is not desecrated, perhaps by someone carrying the shofar on Shabbat. And in that way, it's the same idea. We're so concerned about each other that we tell Hashem, we're not going to blow the shofar because we don't want to even think about the option of your name being desecrated when Shabbat is desecrated, which is a beautiful idea. And he goes on and says more. He says the shofar, based on that pasuk, Zikaron Tru'ah, reminds Hashem of the Akedah. Rashi says it there as well, based on the Midrash, right? It reminds Hashem of the Akedah. But in us doing this, in us cancelling shofar, it is our own personal Akedah for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our own kind of giving to Him of ourselves and reconnecting and recommitting to Him. And so in that sense, on Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah, when we don't blow the shofar, we are actually dedicating in a very deep way to Hashem by not doing His mitzvot, by taking a chance and not blowing the shofar because we are so committed to Him. And the truth is, in our times, with COVID going on and all the difficulties, you often ask yourself, what should we do? Is it best to forge ahead? Is it best to take all the precautions? How can we have Rosh Hashanah without all the tefillot like we used to in the same way? And the truth is from here perhaps we can understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us sometimes to say, we're going ad kan. We're not going to do anymore. We're going to do our best, and after that the rest is in the hands of Hashem. Hashem wants it to be this way, and we are going to follow suit. We're going to give of ourselves in order to deeply commit ourselves to Hashem. Sometimes dafka by not giving to Hashem and not doing mitzvot, we are actually deeply committing ourselves to Hashem by keeping Shabbat. So on that note, I wish us all a Shana Tova umetuka. I hope our tefillot will go up to Shamayim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring a new year full of joy, full of happiness, and full of health. Shana Tova.